Final Word Daily, brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line, giving you the chance to cruise with cricket legends this December. 2 more games, 2 more results. New Zealand giving us the context we need this tournament. They're going to force their issue all the way to the end. They could be in the semi-final. We've got India versus Australia tomorrow. Going to be a very important match. Also, South Africa beat Bangladesh. Bangladesh on their way home. But to summarise all of those 2 matches in much greater and more effervescent detail is Daniel Norcross. I can't say your name anymore.
I know you can't.
Happens. Oh well.
The cheeky chipmunk Georgia Plimmer came to the party today for the first real time in her career, smashing and 50 for the ages as Sri Lanka's bowlers were put to the sword and sent packing away from this hotel's breakfast room, thereby making it much, much easier to get an omelette in the morning for yours truly. In the evening, a very similar thing happened. Bangladesh, they're done, they're dusted, it's over. South Africa, a clinical performance. The mighty towering figure of Glenn McGrath, lookalike Tasman Brits, being the player of the match, as Bangladesh just proved not strong enough to reach the boundaries that they needed and scored. I mean, it actually puts a little bit of sick in my mouth. 107 for 3?
106 for 3.
106
Please
for,
be accurate.
106 for 3. That was the story of today. Mercifully, those 2 teams are now history. We won't have to see them anymore. Bangladesh, done. Sri Lanka, done. They've both been enormously disappointing, but Bangladesh slightly less disappointing than Sri Lanka.
So we're going to get the sad stuff out of the way first. So we are now 16 matches into the competition, and in exactly half of them, well, in 8 of them teams, there's been a team that hasn't reached 100. But Bangladesh and Sri Lanka have been 2 of the most guilty parties in that situation. We'll get on to the Bangladesh match later, but the opener today, Shati, who, this is my final word, but I'm going to mention it already. She has, I think, like the Freddie Flintoff old Woodworm helmet with like the yellow earpieces.
Yes.
I love that. Is that okay?
That's
okay,
brilliant.
fine.
But is that your only observation?
That was my main one. The second one was that she was on 3 off 21. And it was becoming quite a stressful viewing experience. But we've done the kind of go slow nature of this tournament already. We're noting it. We're going to carry on. We're going to put smiles on our faces and analyse what's been a wonderful innings from Georgia Plimmer. I think you've done her a disservice there. She played brilliantly against New Zealand. She got her first ever T20I half century against Australia just before the competition. She's had a very kind of a binary-like turnaround from the Georgia Plimmer we saw in England.
Yes.
I've decided that I think she's a nice person, so I'm very happy for her. And if she's able to come to the party and be this kind of 4th string to New Zealand's base, there we go.
Sort of like after your Devines, your Kerrs and your Bateses.
Exactly.
Well, she outplayed Bates completely today, didn't she?
Exactly. That gives New Zealand a completely different dynamic. And if they're able to knock over Pakistan in their final group stage game, they are, I'm right in saying, favourites to go through?
Yeah, yes. I mean, the only thing that could stop
Give me some net run rate stuff.
Well, you won't need net run rate if New Zealand win and Australia win their last 2 games, because then it's just New Zealand go through and Australia go through. Net run rate happens if New Zealand win and India win. And then what you find is 3 teams tied on 6 points. Australia's net run rate is too huge. They go through. So it's then about how much did India beat Australia by? You'd imagine not very much. But then if you're imagining India winning, you might be imagining anything you want, because that seems quite unlikely. And then New Zealand will know exactly how much they will need to beat Pakistan by improving their net run rate quite considerably, but not decisively today. It would mean that, for example, if India won by about 4 or 5 runs, or in the last over, say, with 3 or 4 balls to spare, New Zealand would probably need to win by about 30-odd runs, or with about 4 overs to spare. It's that sort of a thing, that we're looking at against Pakistan. But we won't know, and it's crazy to speculate on that until India play Australia tomorrow in the big, big, big E, the big, big, big E, the big, big, big E, big. And we're all very much looking forward to that. To get back to New Zealand, Plimmer, take a look at her wagon wheel. Absolutely superb. At the point where she got to 50-odd, I think she got 67% of her runs in the V.
My God.
You've got to love that. Firm as well. Smashing it. Going across the notoriously claggy, soft, spongy, weird Sharjah turf, which feels a little bit like someone's put AstroTurf down but not pulled it tight enough. So there's like a little kind of like inch gap underneath
That's
it.
very evocative. I've enjoyed that description.
Thank you.
I feel like I know what it would feel like.
And it feels exactly like that. It's very, very strange, I tell you. She was superb. I do think that it speeded up a little bit today, and I do think the pitch played a little bit better today. And the fact that Sri Lanka made it to 115 suggested that despite their excellent start, which was good, slightly assisted by byes and no balls and wides and what not no balls but wides, they got off to a flying start, and Chamari looked absolutely on it, or should I say Chamari, because that's apparently the correct pronunciation, but we've just been getting it wrong for her entire career, which is quite disrespectful, isn't it?
It doesn't sound very professional from you guys, to be honest.
Well, or indeed everybody.
Yeah.
But she started with a murderous, thunderous cut through backward point, and then she started charging at the bowlers, and you thought, hello, this is going to be a Chamari day. It turned out that it wasn't, and when she got out, the innings rather limped to its sort of inevitably torpid conclusion. And New Zealand, in reply, things could have gone wrong, because maybe it was Sharjah of old. Maybe it was what we've come to expect. But no, despite a rather flailing knock by Susie Bates, which was a little bit concerning, it was a little bit like, watching Betty Davis trying to act the part of a stunner aged 50. Do you know what I mean? It was just like reaching.
Calling Susie Bates old?
Well, I'm not calling her old. I'm just saying
like
that she was like moving around all over the place and getting stuck, and she kept charging at the ball, and then it was coming underneath her bat, and it was all just stay still and whack it. You'll be fine. And she didn't do that, and it was a bit odd. It doesn't mean to say that she won't be splendid in the next game, but she was massively overshone by the cheeky chipmunk, who played with an insouciance, an elan, and a joy that was a genuine delight for onlookers who've been wishing Plimmer well ever since her absolute horror tour of England.
So you're right to mention this was a game that, when it started, New Zealand were pretty sloppy, and Sri Lanka got away, and then it seemed like for a little bit of the match that potentially we could be looking at an upset. As it happened, Sri Lanka fell to another pretty convincing and very disappointing defeat. How has this happened? How has this Sri Lankan team, were favourites again upcoming into their first match against Pakistan? They won the Asia Cup. I remember someone making a point which was like, everyone keeps on framing the Sri Lankan team in the side that kind of got a game off England last year, won the Asia Cup, and not necessarily the team that just lost to Ireland in Ireland.
Yes.
What has happened? They have lost all 4 of their matches, and they have been bad. They've done bad crickets. Well, as said so by their coach.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. He was very unequivocal on that score, wasn't he? I don't know. I mean, you've been watching it like I have, and it could be that they just played badly, which was his point. We just played badly, which is possible. I think the other part of it is, I think we've sort of heard rumblings that when they've played well, they've played on pitches that had a bit in it, and they've had bowlers come at them. So, you may think to yourself, oh, Lauren Filer bowling at those Sri Lankans, that'll put the fear of God into them. Well, not really, because, they don't mind the ball coming on. They quite like it, 70-odd miles an hour, and you can manoeuvre it, push it around. Then they don't need to have power to reach the boundaries, and they can use finesse and timing and skill and languid grace and all that kind of stuff. Here, you do need a bit of oomph, quite frankly, in order to, as we saw, the very last ball was only 6 of the innings, wasn't it? And it was Sophie Devine who absolutely walloped it, using her power and nous and the fact that she's, bigger and stronger than the Sri Lankans. And with the exception of Atapatu, they don't really have that. And on pitches that are a bit slow and it's not quite coming on, and outfields aren't as quick, then actually that's not so great. And then you say, what about the Asia Cup? Well, apparently the pitches in the Asia Cup were pretty quick and pretty fun. And so it could be that. It could be that conditions actually didn't suit them. And we stereotype Sri Lanka and think that they're going to thrive in
slow, low,
and what we imagine to be Asian pitches, which is a nonsensical term anyway, since Asia's very big. And for the terms of cricket, it goes from Bangladesh and Pakistan all the way down to Sri Lanka and southern India, and there's a lot of points in between and lots of different pitches. So I would think that it's that, really. And look, like today, we were nattering away in the commentary box and wondering why Sophie Devine came on to bowl, because when she did come on to bowl, they got 10 or 11 off the over, didn't they?
Yeah, she went for 18 off her 2. And
then when Lee Kasparek came on, it was harder to put it around, and Amelia Kerr was more difficult for them to get away. And it's a shame we didn't see Brooke Halliday bowling 27.4 miles an hour off the wrong foot, but I think she would have been unbelievably effective. But yeah, I think that's the reason, not to put too fine a point on it.
And the last thing we're going to say on this match, a quick word for Lee Kasparek.
Yes, love to see her back.
One of Cricinfo's journalists called Shashank Kishore, I think he's got like a direct line to someone in Scotland. So he keeps on producing these very interesting kind of like profile pieces on people kind of either within the Scotland camp or tangentially related to the camp.
Oh,
so Kasparek was on the coaching staff of Scotland's qualifying tournament.
Right.
She's come in for the first game today for New Zealand, and had she not been in the squad playing for New Zealand, she would have been part of the coaching staff for Scotland. She was born in Edinburgh. And he also wrote a piece that went out today with Lorna Jack Brown, who'll play against England tomorrow, because she's a Bobby on the beat back in Scotland. That's her main profession.
Yeah.
She's retired. Well, she's actually a detective. And so there's this amazing paragraph in the piece where she's like, yeah, I've taken down like drug cartels. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, and I'm going to retire after the final World Cup game, have a holiday, and then that's what I'm going to do full time.
Take down drug cartels.
So there we go. Kasparek back in the team.
Well, Sophie Eccleston will be a piece of piss then, won't she?
Easy game. Right. Hey, it's a double header. We've got to do the official, the smart professional ad break.
Okay.
So, hey, it's the halfway stage. After we go to an ad break, we're going to come back, review the second match, and you're also going to hear a beautiful ad read out by Daniel Norcross. We'll catch you in 2 seconds. Hey, 2 seconds have passed. It's Final Word Daily, brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line, giving you the chance to cruise with cricket legends this December. If Daniel's ready, do you want to get your ad read out?
Oh, we're doing the ad read now?
I thought when I said you were going to do the ad read, that would be...
see.
Yeah.
Because normally you do the ad read before.
I know.
That's
because we went down to one game. But if you remember, our boss and leader, Adam, said that he'd like the ad read to go here.
No, he tells things to you and then you tell them to me.
And that's what we're doing it right now.
I'm doing it right now.
Wonderful.
Okay, so here's the ad read. As evidenced by its wonderful Gothic cathedrals and cobblestoned passageways, Rouen is a town steeped in European history and is the jewel of Normandy. Like any great European city of yore, Rouen also has a dark side. Ravaged by fighting in the 100 Years' War and World War II, the soil of Rouen is also where BBC costume drama favourite Joan of Arc, or Jeanne d'Arc, was tried and eventually executed by burning. Immerse yourself in its rich, deep cultural history on the third stop of Ambassador Cruise Line's Cricket Legends Cruise this December. Is this a bit too heavy for you? Well, how about an evening discussing lighter matters? Who won the 100 Years' War is more your jam than won the 100 Years' War? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I don't know. It's definitely a joke about the 100. Who won the 100?
Oh, who won the 100?
Yeah.
Ah, right. I think, yes, it's just been badly written.
Oh, don't say that to twos, man. I think it was poorly read.
Well, it literally says, who won the 100 Years' War is more your jam than won the 100 Years' War. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, so, we get the idea. We're on,
if who won the 100 is more your jam than who won the 100 Years' War...
There we go.
Right, I think that's what he meant. More about the Commonwealth allies forming the captain and coach of England than an allied invasion? Still smarting at KP being burned at the stake? Once you've finished exploring Rouen, you can sit back with Aggers, Blowers, Tudes and Gucci and discuss the cricketing matters that are most important to you. All this at the ridiculously generous starting price of £559 per person. And that's before you get 10% off because you listen to us. It's incredibly easy. Just visit ambassadorcruiseline.com and pop in
Final Word 10.
That's Final Word 10 at checkout, and you'll be sailing away beating the winter blues. It's in the show notes. Check it out. Ambassador Cruise Line, giving you the chance to cruise with cricket legends this December.
Not your smoothest, but I thought it was beautifully read.
It was the 1-1. I mean, it throws you.
It throws you, but I've just never seen you thrown before. That's the thing.
Yeah, but 1-1. I mean, I would throw you.
We did. We got there together.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry,
Tubes.
I'm not sorry.
Just don't.
Typos.
I don't get it together. Typos. I can't work like this.
Right, second game of the day.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line, giving you the chance to cruise with Cricket Legends this December. South Africa versus Bangladesh. So Bangladesh got one of the more comical T20 scores in that they finished 106 for 3. So they used all their resources.
In terms of balls.
I don't really know how to start with this, really. They were, at one stage, I think they were on about 10. They were 10 for 1 after 5 overs. And you very quickly go... when they bring up that graphic on TV where it's like where they get to on their current run rate and where they get to it goes to 6, 8, 10 and over. Like the current run rate. Yeah, it's like we're getting to 40. If they go to at 10s, they're going to get to 97. And you're like, oh shit, okay. Don't look into those maths too much.
Because it was completely wrong. It would be 160.
It would have been, but it's fine. Yeah, I don't really know where to begin with this match and where we.
Well, you have begun at the beginning, and you were quite right to, because the beginning was a crime against cricket. It was just horrendous, and I don't know whether I particularly blame the Bangladeshis.
Why not?
Well,
They're not
because
scoring any runs.
Yeah, but I saw them sort of trying to score runs. It's just that as the bat was flailed in the general direction of the ball, when it came off the bat, it didn't travel any distance at all, and this happened quite a lot. And in fairness, they did have to face a bunch of overs from Marizanne Kapp, who's extremely difficult to get away. She's like the Megan Shoot of South Africa, insofar as they've got quite similar kind of economy rates and wicket taking potential.
She went at 2.5s today. Expensive.
Yeah, for her, quite expensive. And South Africa are a gun team, aren't they? There was something sort of slightly frighteningly different about the two sides, in that, again, one of them was really big, and one of them wasn't. And we've talked about this a few times on the final word about the actual size of the playing area, and Bangladesh not really filling or inhabiting the size of the playing area. Now, what's going on?
Well, my phone's on Do Not Disturb. Well, I got disturbed.
Makes a lovely noise, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a very big playing area in Dubai, and they don't really fill it up. And South Africa do kind of fill it up. And stop it!
I don't know why. You can see my phone's on Do Not Disturb, and it's not happening. Adam Caddy's calling me.
Well, why not just answer Adam Caddy and say fuck off?
Oh, he will call again.
He will do.
It's an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Working. Please wait.
Yeah. Do you think Tooves can do anything with this?
No, I reckon keep it in.
We'll keep it in if you like. Adam Caddy, if you ever watched this.
I thought briefly it was Adam Collins. That would have made me laugh. Then that would have been fine.
Well, then we could have just put him on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Anyway, it was just a mismatch, and they weren't up to the task. They've shown little glimpses, haven't they? I mean, at this point in the competition, it's nice to reflect on what Sri Lanka have brought to the competition, which is almost nothing except disappointment, and what Bangladesh have brought to the competition, which is a little bit more, actually. They brought a bit of something. They won a game, and I really love Marufa actor, and I thought we had a wonderful wicket celebration today from Khatun, Mahima, I think it was. And they play with joy and with spirit, but their batting just doesn't have the strength and the power to be able to challenge the boundaries here. And so they end up with this utterly farcical score. And you can sort of complain and say, well, it's 106 for 3, almost like it would be much more acceptable if it was 106 for 9. But it wasn't like they weren't trying to score runs. It's just that the shots they played in trying to score the runs weren't ones that presented wickets either. They were just ones that came off the bat into the ground. And you can't blame them for not running themselves out. I mean, you're not going to do that. So, it is what it is kind of thing, unfortunately. What I would say is that it's great, but there's also an enormous relief that they're not going to play any more matches. And the remaining matches are all going to be ones that really do massively matter from here on in, because this tournament has had fits and starts of fun. I mean, it's all been fun. And we've had some great and crazy moments and mad fielding and odd umpiring moments and whatnot. We've had some good games, but it's not been really festooned with magnificent cricket. And you do feel that the remaining 2, 3, 4, 5 games in the group stages all now have something big on them.
Yeah.
And whatever happens, England play Scotland and India play Australia tomorrow. If we're sat back here tomorrow going, that was boring, then we won't have understood cricket, because it won't be boring. Whatever happens tomorrow will be consequential. And you're going to see an altogether energized Cam and Dan, although I prefer to be called Daniel, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles.
I get that, but people write my name as Cam.
Cameron.
The thing is, I call myself Cam. In person, I'm Cam, and I'll sign off emails and text Cam. But then when someone else writes, I'm like,
yeah, hang on, pal.
Basically, this is the sunk cost moment of the competition. If you're still with us, you've earned the right to now have fun. And basically, we're in that stage where if this was a series, you'd have told your friend, like, get through the first series or two, and then you'll be into it.
Oh, yeah, like Succession, like the first 8 episodes of Succession.
We've done the first 8 episodes of Succession, and now, hopefully, penultimate episode, the wedding episode, episode 10, a great episode.
Superb, yeah.
If someone dies tomorrow, that'll be a shame. That'll be a shock. Anyway, we're moving on to the Hall of Fame.
Huzzah!
Do you want to go first?
Yes, I do. This tournament has had a number of things that I've never seen before and have completely baffled me. This one wasn't one that I've never seen before, but it was a variation on something that happens very rarely. Namely, the ball was struck back to the bowler. The bowler, in this case Eden Carson, appealed because it may or may not have come off her hand onto the stumps at the non-striker's end, and Atapatu was out of the ground. And I actually thought that the replays that the umpire looked at suggested that the ball might actually have touched the fingers of Eden Carson, but all the New Zealand fielders moved back to their positions as if it never had done. The only person who could have known was Eden Carson, who had appealed and made this whole farrago take place. But when it was established that she hadn't actually touched it, even though they didn't use Ultra Edge, no one complained, which left me utterly baffled because, what basically had happened is that we were only looking at this because Eden Carson claimed she'd touched it, and then they decided that she actually hadn't, and I didn't think the evidence was quite there for it. You can use Ultra Edge. I've seen Ultra Edge used. I've seen it used on one which came back off it might even have been Lauren Bell, actually. Lauren Bell's toe.
As long as the stump mic could pick it up.
Exactly.
It'll be there.
And we never saw Ultra Edge, but no one complained that the decision wasn't given out because Atapatu was out. She was out of the ground when the ball struck the stumps. So just left with complete bafflement. Mercifully, I wasn't on commentary. Henry Moran was, and he sounded as baffled as I would have done had I been on. But it was much more pleasing for me to hear him being baffled than me having to be baffled myself.
Wonderful.
So that's a Hall of Fame moment for me.
I got obviously ruined mine up by going early with Shati Rana's woodworm helmet, which really excited me. But it didn't have a wood. She'd covered up the branding on like the side, but not on the back. So I'm very intrigued by this.
Oh, no.
But her 6, so she was on I think 3, 4, or 5 off 21 balls, and then she was dropped at mid off, and then out of nowhere she just launches. I think it's Bosch over mid wicket. Was it Bosch? Dirksen.
I know what you mean.
Dirksen, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like a bat finishes over the shoulder full swing. She kind of like wristed it, and her bat just kind of went in a perfectly horizontal line, and it was so out of keeping with the entirety of the rest of the innings that it was a joyous moment and worthy of the woodburn helmets. I forgot to mention during the match, I think Malaba is an unbelievably good bowler, and she was taking the piss out of them today. She was like bowl, she'd beat the bat, and then she'd like laugh, and I'd be like, "Oh, you're taking the piss."
I like Malaba a lot. She could be leading wicket taker in this World Cup by the end of it. I reckon, like proper, as in finished that way.
I'd back it all the way. Right, that has been the last of the trilogy of hotel episodes. We're back at the ground tomorrow. I've been Cameron. Daniel's been Daniel. It's brought to you as ever by Ambassador Cruise Line. We'll speak to you and see you again tomorrow.
1-1 the 100 years war. Come on.
Right, done.